Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the Orange Butterfly Effect. Today, I am here. I'm going to exhale before I say this with Kailin Bouse. Kailin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I felt like I had to exhale because as I've been researching you in preparation for the show, your content is so calming, so refreshing, and also so vibrant. So we'll talk more about that. But what I like to do is I start by introducing you as I know you, and then you can fill in the gaps, okay?
Mhm.
So I have been healed by you before about must have been 3 or 4 years ago now. I came to
Yeah.
one of your sound bath sessions. So I've had a personal experience with you, and then all of the rest of these descriptors are from what I know about you. So here is my list. You are a Reiki Master, a musician, a sound therapist, a trauma informed yoga and meditation teacher, an entrepreneur, and I have highlighted, because of my experience and the experience of many others, a healer. What did I miss?
I think you covered a lot of things. No, I think you got everything. And just a human being of Earth. That's
Mm,
what's really wrapping it all together and kind of where the Kaylin of Earth name comes from.
I love that. I should have added that. Yes, you embody that too. What does it mean to you when I describe you as a healer? What does that mean to you? That word.
Sure. So I think the word healer, I would say that I identify more with the idea of helping people to ignite the healer within themselves or
Yeah.
guiding people to that healing within themselves. So I think what a true healer is not someone that physically heals others, but that guides people to become their own healers from within and shares the practices and the wisdom and the knowledge that helps themselves and others reach that state within themselves of like freedom and fulfillment.
And from what I know about you, it seems like you became, I'm going to use the word healer again. I know you just described it much more beautifully, but you're able to ignite that in others because of your own personal story. You went through a process of healing, and then that's what led you to become a yoga instructor. And I'm just giving the spark notes here. But did you have anyone, now you're providing that for so many people? Was there someone like that for you along your path?
Yeah, I would say a lot of the closest people to me, my parents. I grew up, had a lot of challenging and traumatic kind of events happen within my own childhood, but also my parents went through a lot. And I think seeing my parents um, raise myself and my brother and still continue to find themselves and to grow and to be the best people that they could be through their struggle really kind of gave me that foundation of, when things happen, you don't just collapse into yourself or
Mm,
self-destruct, even though, trust me, I had plenty of
mm,
self-destructive years. But I think from my parents, I really learned and saw firsthand that you can heal and you can find light within darkness, even in the cards that you're dealt. And then some of the teachers that I studied with during my yoga certification at the Himalayan Institute, which is a yoga center that I actually lived and worked at for a residential program when I received my yoga training. A lot of the teachers there truly, truly impacted me and really gave me a solid foundation in yoga and
yeah.
yoga philosophy and a deep understanding of the nervous system, which is really what I would say sparked my own healing journey because the nervous system is truly at the root of everything that we experience as humans. So there's been quite a many people. My husband now and my late partner Dan, who passed of cancer in 2020, was also a huge teacher of mine.
Oh, thanks for sharing all of that. And I know along the way you made transitions in your life. You started working in marketing, and then because of some of that stress and the things that you were experiencing, that's what led you to the institute. Am I right in my
Yeah.
research?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I started working very young, like right out of high school. I started working. Actually started off in it was a dine-in movie theater, restaurant, movie theater hybrid,
Oh,
which I
fun.
still have. It was fun, and I started selling tickets, and very quickly was promoted to supervisor and manager. And by the time I was like 19, 20, I was one of the many managers at this place, and eventually moved from the dining business into long-term care, kind of a big jump, but I started working in
Yeah.
the dining room there and was promoted to marketing. So I started working and I learned so much marketing from the director of marketing there, and took some classes and studied upon what it is to actually sell a product. We were trying to sell nursing homes. So that's you have to be very creative
I'm
with
sure.
with how you help people understand that they know that they need something. And
Yeah.
I think because I wasn't just selling, some product, I was selling something unique. And we had to really look at people as an individual. And I think I learned marketing through a lens of how do you sell something that has value by helping people understand that they need it. So I think through learning marketing through that lens really helps me in my career now of having a business, a wellness business, because we all need wellness. And I think
Yeah.
it's just informing and helping people understand, number one, what resources are available, and how, where, and all the whys on how to get it.
And I think that description, yes, yes, and yes. The transition makes perfect sense, living in alignment. And I know you had some of those that you teach recently say why they love coming to yoga class. And I took a quote. Someone said that's where they're able to meet themselves where they are.
Mhm.
So, what do you feel like? Not that you're really selling something right now, but as an entrepreneur, how do you encourage people to start, to show up on the mat, to have an experience? What is marketing that like for you?
Well, I think it really comes from something you said earlier. Your own journey becomes your own healing journey, becomes you get tools through that process that you can then share with others. And when I was working in the marketing business, it was a lot, and I ended up getting burnt out. And by the age of 22, due to a car accident when I was a teenager and other health issues and stress I was dealing with, I had reached a threshold of chronic pain and stress for myself.
Mhm.
I was young and I realized this is not something that I can sustain. There has to be some other way.
Sure.
And that's how I was led to yoga and meditation and this path. So I think how you work with people to help them understand that they too may need to find balance or healing in their lives starts with self awareness, allowing people to slow down and really be with themselves, with their bodies, with their lives, with everything they have to offer, their challenges, their strengths, their weaknesses, and learn how to get to know themselves objectively and through the lens of compassion.
Mm.
And through that awareness, you're then able to see yourself, meet yourself where you are, and start to take one step at a time, implementing lifestyle changes, diet changes, your choices, your view of the world to one that fits in a more aligned path for you. But I think it starts with having that awareness because we are so overstimulated and inundated by the world that who we are and our time for self-reflection and self-care is usually on the bottom of the list.
100% yes. And transparently, I asked you to come on the show because I need your advice. First and foremost, I know that those that are listening are also going to value they're going to benefit from the advice that you provide me, but this is my can I ask you my big question now? Because
Of
we need you,
course.
Kaylin, and it is right in line with what you just described. With all of that noise that exists in our world, with all of the personal and professional development that we are exposed to, this podcast included, trying to figure it all out. How can we stay present and be where our feet are, but also have the aspiration to continue to grow and become the best versions of ourselves? Is that possible? Is that something that I should be striving for and others should be striving for? What is your take on that big question?
Definitely. I think when you are the type of person that values wellness and healing, but you're also a person that values growth and success, and maybe, you're an entrepreneur and you always have this energy that you want to strive and keep growing. It can be
Yeah.
hard to balance the two, because even healing can become work if you put it in that lens where, all right, I need to change my lifestyle, I need to change all these things because I'm trying to reach this goal of wellness. But in that process, I'm not present, or I'm trying to learn or study or figure out all the ways or all the links to get me there. I think one of the most simple things that you can do is to be mindful in every task or act that you're doing. I think we need to slow down and connect more with our senses,
Yeah.
and doing one thing at a time and really being with one thing at a time is a way to really start to build that resilience to stress and for the mind to stay focused. Because if our attention is scattered in too many directions, we're not going to have the energy, the space, or the clarity to grow spiritually, you know, emotionally, mentally, physically, or in our careers. So slowing down, being more mindful, and trying to find little things that you can do for yourself that give you more space away from the idea of even bettering yourself or healing. Like, just a morning and an evening routine can be two things that you bookend your day with that can absolutely change your life. And it could even be something as simple as 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening of silent meditation or journaling or having your favorite cup of tea or making sure that you see the sunrise. Having space for yourself to just be, to express, to be creative without feeling the need to accomplish something in that moment is going to slowly align you with where it is that you're trying to go without having to check off boxes or to make certain deadlines. So I think it really comes from incorporating more presence, more mindful moments, and more space, that we're not putting too much expectation and responsibility on ourselves
Mhm.
to then support the moments and the times that we do, if that makes sense.
Oh, it makes it you make it sound easy because you are so graceful, and I know that you have the skills and tools to implement that into your world and into the world of
Not
others.
always, but it's not easy, right?
It is not easy, but it makes complete sense, and it reminds me I have in my notes here, Lori Santos from, I believe, Yale University. She talks about this concept of savoring. And that's what you described in a way, is that if we really savor moments, I'm also drinking a cup of tea. If we savor the warmth of our tea and the smoothness of the cup that we're drinking out of, or the texture of that, and we can really ground ourselves in that savoring, studies show that it leads to us being happier over time. And obviously, happiness is fleeting and it's an emotion or a feeling, either positive or negative. But if we can have more positive feelings over the course of our lives, then of course we can then deem that we are happier. So, what do you think about savoring? Does that relate to what you were saying? Can you see the fit in there? And how would you encourage someone, if you do agree, to savor a little bit more? Where does someone start?
Absolutely. So that perfectly describes really tuning into the senses, which are a direct link to your nervous system. It comes back to that nervous system regulation.
Yeah.
So allowing ourselves to sensually be present and overtaken in a positive way by something that's comforting or something that's soothing or feeling supportive is going to, over time, relax our nervous system back into that parasympathetic state where we can actually reach those internal, the internal feeling within ourselves. Because when we are overstimulated, stressed, have too much work, or maybe even overly ambitious, which sometimes that's a great thing, our
Yeah.
ambition and our drive. Like I have it too. But I have to like slow down because there needs to be a balance there. So I love to tell people if they're having a hard time relaxing or a hard time finding balance in their lives between rest and work. Coming back to the morning and evening routines, but think of your five senses. Think of your sense of taste, sight, smell, hearing, and touch. If you can have, 15 to 20 minutes a day, maybe even just starting with one period of day where you have something maybe soothing like a cup of tea. You're getting the aroma, you're getting the taste. Me, I love to be warm and fuzzy.
Me
So like I
too.
might have a big fuzzy blanket, fuzzy socks. I have some music on. I'm a person that loves uh different lighting, like Himalayan salt lamps and things. Like I create a space for myself that I can savor. I'm also a Taurus, and Tauruses are very, very about the environment and
Yeah.
senses and food and things. So I just that helps me in general. But for everyone, what that does is it recreates a new feeling of safety in the
Hmm.
body. We have to feel safe in our bodies in order to heal and grow and access our true strengths and talents because so many of us are in this highly productive survival mode, but
Yeah.
it's still survival mode.
Absolutely. And I'm going to quote an indirect quote from you, but I listened to you. This was 2023, so some time ago, but you were on the Ryan Lecky podcast. And during that podcast, you said so many wonderful things. But one thing that I really took away is that you said life is happening for you, not to you. Can you describe how that fits into this conversation that life is happening for us? If we are more present, will we notice that more? Or what does that statement really mean?
I think it really stems in, I guess, more of like a spiritual lens and understanding that we are a very intricate part of something bigger than ourselves. And I truly believe that life is for our upliftment. I believe that we come here with opportunities to grow, to love, to experience the highs and the lows of human experience, even the suffering, even the pain. Buddhist teachings teach that suffering is one of the things that we all have in common.
Yeah.
And through our suffering, we gain access to a wider spectrum of understanding in our lives between each other, even. So I believe that our life path and our life experiences are continuous opportunities to learn who it is we are, what we're here to do, and what we're here to share. So even when I have challenging experiences or the losses or the traumas that I have had in my life, I try to look at them as a teacher for me to learn from and integrate and grow from and then share. So it's a long answer to your question, but life is happening for us. And rather than looking at things as being a punishment or circumstances as being very defeating,
Mhm.
even though we'll have moments that those emotions come and that's valid, we have to let ourselves feel that. If we can look for the light and the lesson in every life situation, your life begins to become so much more expansive rather than something that feels suppressive or oppressive.
Yes to all of the above. I'm going to insert something. And I don't know if there's any linkage here, and there might not be, but I was recently just giving a lecture to a management course on accountability. And when I was reflecting on that quote from you, that life is happening for you, not to you, I think when we think life is happening to us, it's easier for us not to take as much accountability in that because it's happening to me. Therefore, I don't have control over what's happening. And sometimes life can feel out of control. But when you say life is happening for you or for me, that helps me feel like I have agency and that I can make decisions as to how I accept what is happening for me. Does that make any sense?
It totally does. It totally does. We have to really be advocates for ourselves and our life, whether it comes from the circumstances that are outside of our control or the circumstances that are inside of our control. And having that sense of responsibility for ourselves can be overwhelming, but it also can be very empowering. I think perspective is really, really huge
Yeah.
when kind of approaching these types of concepts.
And talking about advocacy, that's another thing you said on the Ryan Lucky podcast is that we need to advocate for our own well being. How does one do that? How do you advocate for your own well being? How do you advise that others be a part of that conversation and initiative of advocacy?
Sure. I think it's important to note that everyone's position in life is going to uh, either help or hinder how much energy or space that they even have to have that agency for themselves. Because if you're dealing with poverty
Right.
or homelessness or starvation or hunger, all these things that so many people are dealing with in the world, it's going to be harder to do that. So for me, I can, everything that I do for myself, I know is coming from a place of already having us a level of resources that
Mm-hmm.
gives me the space and opportunity to do that. But I think in general, being an advocate for yourself really comes from taking that personal responsibility for yourself and your life, despite the cards that you're given or despite the environment that you're in, as challenging as that may be. If we're able to find that divine spark, that divine light within ourselves to help guide us, out of the situations that we're in and toward situations or people or circumstances or environments that are more nurturing and supportive for ourselves, we're able to then begin to, number one, have the awareness of who we are and what our needs are. Because some of us are so disconnected from our lives or our bodies, we don't even know what we need. So
Yeah.
having that awareness and then having an intention to feel better, right? And to know what it is that you need to get there. And then it takes action. It takes actually putting action or things in place to start that ball moving towards the lifestyle changes or the relationships or the environments that are going to be more supportive for your well-being, because it really is looking at your life holistically,
Mm-hmm.
because it's never just one thing that's wrong or that needs to change to just put everything together. Usually when someone steps on a path of self improvement, or however you'd like to say it, a spiritual path or a wellness journey or a healing journey. I feel like we have many names
Yeah, we do.
for this. But it really comes from looking at your life holistically and making a bunch of many times little changes to get you to where it is that you need to be, and to see every obstacle as an opportunity and maybe a divine redirection on that path, rather than getting stuck or attached to things looking a certain way. So I think it takes, I would say, almost this wild tenacity
Mm,
to keep
yeah.
going even when things get hard, and to stay curious and to be rebellious, that you want to have a positive experience here as a human despite the challenges that you're faced with, and continue to turn your face towards the sun and keep moving forward.
I think that really answers my first question that I asked as well about staying present when we're seeking something more. It almost feels rebellious in itself to be present. I love that you use that word because there are so many distractions. And I think we may innately, or maybe it's not innate, it's something because of the environments that we're in points us in the direction to always be forward looking or to ruminate on the past. But it is almost a rebellious act to say, no, I'm going to be exactly where my feet are right now. And I feel that way when I'm practicing yoga. That's how I learn. That's how I felt like I met myself for the first time. I'm going to be right here and nothing else is going to take me away. And there's something really, really powerful about that. Do you hear that from other people since you are always teaching and sharing your light with those in your world?
Yeah, I mean, that act of being present is truly, I think, the most important thing that we can do for ourselves, is to allow ourselves to be exactly where we are, because many times we are so fragmented or fractured because our bodies may physically be here in this place and
Yeah.
space, but what we're experiencing internally, like our thoughts, could be in the future, it could be in the past. We could be creating things that haven't even happened yet, or reviewing conversations, that we've had. Emotionally, we may still be super upset about something that happened 5 years ago that we're still
Sure.
carrying
Mhm.
in our physical bodies. So that feeling of presence can feel very foreign for a lot of people, and our nervous system is always on high alert, due to being in that fight or flight mode from just the overstimulating lifestyle that we have in this country. So sometimes to be present though, and what I've learned with working with so many people, nervous system resolu- nervous system regulation does not look the same for everyone, because if you've had a nervous system in survival mode for a long time, to actually slow down and be present can feel very threatening.
Yeah.
It can bring anxiety, it can bring fear, it can bring panic. And if you hear people say, "Oh, I tried yoga or I tried meditation and like it was not for me," like many times it's because they needed a little bit more of a gentle introduction or just awareness
Mhm.
that when you start to relax an overworked nervous system, it can start to shorten out slightly, because it's like, wait a minute, like, what do you mean we're resting right now? There could be a lion around the corner. There could be something here to hurt me. So there's this heightened sense of anxiety. But when you're able to breathe and move past that discomfort, I call it divine discomfort. When you're able to move past that, and that shows up in a yoga pose, that can show up in a meditation, and it doesn't have to be in a yoga class. It could be in a conversation that you're having with someone where you see a past pattern or a past trigger coming up, right? When you're able to move past that, you find that you're able to respond and interact with your world or your practice, whatever it may be, from a place of presence, not filtered through your past or your dysregulation or your distractions. And you are able to have that true experience. And the more that you can stay present through life, the the more you're going to get from life, and the more that life is going to get from you too.
Yeah, I really appreciate you, one, sharing that it's a privilege to have these conversations, to be at a place where we are safe to be present and safe to grow and explore. And number two, that you share that it can be uncomfortable. I know that there are people listening to this, I'm sure, that maybe, I'm going to use the word non believer, but that's not the best word to classify someone. So I'll explain in a moment, but may feel like holistic living or yoga, meditation, some of these very traditional practices are not for them because they may have sat with themselves and been uncomfortable before and therefore don't want that to happen again. But I love that you are giving people the ability to be uncomfortable and try again, because that seems to be where the magic happens. Do you have those that you are teaching that come back, that have a bad experience and come back and it gets better? How long does it take for any listener that may be in that uncomfortable phase right now? When will they have that divine moment? Or can it not be
Well,
classified?
it's going to be different for every person. And I think understanding, having again that awareness of the state of their nervous system and where they're at and what they need, and knowing that there are different avenues of accessing that state of balance or that state of stillness, to make sure that you're the path that you're taking is the best for you. So, for example, many times I have clients for Reiki. Reiki is an energy practice. It helps with deep relaxation and helping the body to come back into balance to activate its own healing states. But it takes laying still, on a table for, 30 minutes to a half an hour, which can be very challenging for people because
Yeah.
when you're still and you're quiet, many times the roaming tendencies of the mind begin to come to the forefront and you're distracted. And when our mind is distracted or we have a lot of thoughts, our body responds the same way. And that relaxation process isn't really able to happen as easily.
Yeah.
But when you incorporate things like aromatherapy or sound therapy, it comes back to that savoring and with your senses. If you can activate some of the other senses with a positive stimuli, then you can actually start to calm some of those overactive reactions in the mind or the body and get people to relax, in a way that just quiet stillness would seem like very, very daunting. So, depending on my clients' needs and who they are and their past experiences and my past experiences with
Mhm.
myself and other clients, I've learned, to really, it's not one size fits all. Every person is unique in their journey. So approaching their personal needs with a curated method to get to that stillness. And some people need movement. Some people, the purpose of asana are the postures that we do in a yoga class. That's only one branch of what yoga truly is, which is talk about that another time, but there's 8 limbs of yoga. Asana, the postures, are actually designed not to perfect the body, but to prepare the body and the nervous system and the spine for stillness, for
Mhm.
meditation, to find that clarity. So, some people really need to move their bodies before they even attempt meditation or stillness, because when we align our bodies and our breath, it centers our mind and then allows us to deal with that space. So, it's really unique for every individual, but there is hope because there's so many different things that you can try to get yourself there and to know that you're worth it. I think that's
Mhm.
important too.
Yeah.
Like, not giving up comes from like loving yourself so much that you're just, and having that rebellion. I really think that wellness is a rebellious thing in a world that is kind of sick in a lot of ways.
That is my favorite yes, I haven't heard it described like that before, but now that you've said it, it feels so right to have it described in that way. It really is rebellious to want to be well and to act on being well. Okay, Kaylin, I really appreciate your time. So I'm going to ask you two more
Of course.
speed round questions, okay? So this is the question I love to ask everyone. What is one piece of advice that you have for anyone listening that is just trying to figure it all out?
I'd say my one piece of advice to someone starting this journey or starting to figure themselves out or trying to change their life would be patience
Yeah.
and compassion, and to take things one step at a time, to allow yourself to be curious and playful throughout the process, and to not take things so seriously because that seriousness um can it can start to feel like a weight or like a sense of responsibility or expectation, and then you can kind of get in your own way. So allow yourself to be curious, explore and research and watch videos and listen to podcasts and see, wow, this interests me. Like follow the things that spark an interest in you. Because if you feel a little spark or a little light or an interest in something, that's your breadcrumbs to follow
Yeah.
towards the path to self, because it's the things that you resonate with that are going to help you. So stay curious, explore, follow the breadcrumbs, uh, and don't take things too seriously. Be compassionate with yourself when things don't work right, because, healing and growth is not this perfect straight line. We go up, we fall down, we
We
go up
do.
again.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all part of it. Because every time you step off the path or trip off the path or jump off the path, because sometimes it's a choice too,
It is. Mm-hmm.
you're reminded of why you got on the path to begin with. So even the diversion off the path is part of the path. We're always on the path. The path is happening for us. So make sure that you are patient. There's no timeline to any of this. It's lifetimes, lifetimes, and lifetimes, I think, that we are on this. So allow yourself to have fun through the process. And it all leads back, to you. I don't think that we're trying to change ourselves. We're trying to remember ourselves,
Yeah.
to remember who we are underneath all the impressions of the world that we've grown into. And uh, finding community and other people that are like-minded or on that same path can be very nourishing and helpful too, because I hear from a lot of people that they've never met other people that think this way, or they don't know anyone. Everyone in their family thinks they're weird. I got that happened to me, like, so finding others that are like that also can be helpful, so you don't feel alone. You have that support. You're not in
Yeah.
it alone.
I think the invitation to play with this is one of my main takeaways from our conversation today is you can dabble and play and experiment and then just do a needs assessment to one of your original points. Check in with yourself and think, did that nourish me? Was that soul nourishing or soul sucking? And I think the more that we ask ourselves those questions because we're playing, it will lead
Hmm.
us to finding that purpose and being able to pique our curiosity in the direction that we're being called to your point, following the breadcrumbs. So I love that so much. Okay, my final question. Well, two more, but the
Yes.
last one's really quick.
Sure.
So I feel like you are a ripple effect your essence is a ripple effect. So my question really is, what ripple effect have you seen or have you been a part of that you could share? But I just want to share that I think you are that. If I could describe you, what you do shines such a light on so many people that then shine light onto others. It's amazing. Like, I'm even thinking about my sound bath experience with you. I left that, my husband and I, we came for our anniversary. We left that so full of light and joy. I know that we were better partners to each other, better friends, better professionals, in the days that followed that experience. And of course, it's sometimes short-lived because life gets in the way, but if we continued and came back, I feel like we would just fill ourselves up with that light to be able to share. So, I'm telling you what I think your ripple effect is because 'cause you've had an effect on me, but what tell me more or fill in the blank.
Sure. So you're asking what ripple effects I've experienced, or what I would like to ripple out into the world?
Either, any or all of the above, just what is Kaylin's ripple effect?
Sure. I think the most beautiful way to look at that for me is that all of humanity is connected. And we are this giant collective consciousness that is here on this planet, co-creating everything that we experience. The light, the dark, everything is part of this energetic form that we are all in. And who we are and what we do and our journey, the cards we've been dealt, the energies that we've been handed to transform and transmute and grow within our lives, uh, everything affects not just ourselves, but each other. And understanding that when you work on yourself, when you show yourself love and compassion and give yourself space and you invest in yourself, you're also investing in your world.
Yeah.
And to know that our relationships and our reflections within the eyes of others is a really beautiful, important aspect of what it is to be human, our interconnectivity. So every thought that we have, every action that we take towards ourselves, the things we think and do when no one's listening, all that really matters. And that's not pressure, to
Mhm.
try to again perfect something, but it's your conversation with the universe and it's your conversation with the collective. So sometimes we feel powerless in this world to make change, but know that every moment that you're present and conscious and mindful, you are making that ripple effect out into the world far beyond what you may think, an action could do. So that would be
Oh,
my
that gave
ripple
me the
effect.
chills. Yes. I believe I really believe. I believe in all of that, and I think you defined ripple effect really beautifully in your description. That is how ripple effect outside of me asking the question individually, it is a collective. It's the masses being moved by a situation. So I'm so glad that you brought that into the conversation too. And then my final question, what is one thing just today that brought you joy? Just one.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this podcast has brought me joy, but I
Oh.
have to I'm even going to say this cup of tea that has been my my friendly sensory companion through. I'm very sensory. So whenever I can have, I even have this little thing I call a sniffer that I put herbs in,
Mhm.
and I'll smell it, and it's very grounding. So for me, the light is shining through
Right
my
at the perfect
window
time.
at the perfect time, my warm cup of tea, and my new husband, Ryan. He brought me a lot
Oh,
of joy today too.
yes, congratulations again to you.
Thank you.
Well, you brought me so much joy today, and I thank you for giving us all permission to be rebellious. That is my main takeaway. Number one, you answered my question. You gave me the advice that I needed. I needed you most today, most this month. And I think the invitation to be rebellious and focus on our wellness is something that I'll take with me, and I'm sure the listeners will reflect on as well. So let's just be rebellious together and say yes to our overall wellness.
Yes.
Yes. Well, I thank you again, Kaylin. And for all of the listeners, I hope you find one thing that brings you joy today.